Hello, and thank you for participating in the GETS infrastructure procurement that's been proceeding over the past several months. As you know, all of you were determined to be qualified bidders in your respective areas, and that RFP process is continuing. What we'd like to talk with you about today is an additional program we've started called GETS Ready. It's an opportunity for all of you, regardless of who wins the infrastructure procurements, to establish a contractual relationship with the state for additional business opportunities. Our hope is to develop a pool of qualified providers who can make their services available to constituents outside of our core group of 14 large executive branch agencies. These could include other state agencies, local governments, or schools and universities. Those organizations often prefer to use existing contract vehicles, and GTA believes it can leverage your strengths as qualified providers along with our vendor management capabilities to expand the value of the GETS program. You should have already received an information package through your company's point of contact, and this presentation is meant to provide you with additional information on GETS Ready. During this presentation, we'll give you a general overview of the GETS Ready contracts and their structure, the potential customers to be served under these contracts, how a service provider becomes eligible, and the types of contracts we anticipate awarding. We'll also give you an overview of the operating environment, GTA's role, key components of the contract, information on ordering, payment, and reporting, and finally what you can expect next. This presentation may not give you all the information you need, so we'll also offer you a follow-up Q&A session very soon. The GETS Ready contracts are different from the fully integrated GETS program contracts that will be awarded under the current MTR procurement. GETS Ready services will be available individually to organizations that are not part of GTA's consolidated environment. That means they will not require integration with GTA's ITIL processes or with GTA's MSI model. So they will not need to be billed through GTA, will not use GTA's help desk, etc. These are meant to be a la carte services consumed by a larger group of public organizations outside of the 14 core GETS agencies. These outside organizations include city and county governments, or other state entities, and they are not currently consuming GETS services. The contracts will be awarded to multiple providers and will be established more quickly than the MTR procurement process. Please note, your choice on whether to participate in the GETS Ready effort has no impact on selection for the fully managed GETS contracts. GETS Ready is an option we want to offer to each of you, but it may not be a fit for all of you. So how will this program work? For the GETS Ready contracts, the providers will define their own service catalogs and service definitions. During the RFQC, each of you was qualified in one or more areas of scope, and GTA expects providers to propose their own set of services within that same scope. For example, if your company qualified for mainframe services, your company could in turn propose a catalog of mainframe services to GTA, just keeping in mind you'll be offering the services on a standalone basis and will need to provide full support to the customers. In general, this program is going to fit best with standardized service offerings that you're probably already offering in the marketplace. GTA is not asking you to meet custom requirements or custom scope as we did in the MTR procurement. GTA's governance will not be as heavy as with the fully integrated services, but there will be some reporting required. For some service components, customers may be able to choose standard services at standard rates, while others may require custom quotes. In some cases, customers may request quotes from multiple providers for comparison. GETS Ready should offer several benefits both for the customers and for providers. First, it simplifies the purchasing process by reducing the need for a formal RFP, and it offers more choice to customers for technology services among state contracts. Also, GETS Ready contracts will be quicker to market since there will be no onboarding to the MSI platform. And finally, a broader group of customers can be reached, such as local governments and universities. At this point, the number of customers is unknown, as there is no promised revenue or sales for these contracts. It's an opportunity for you to reach your existing or new customers in a way that should allow for faster sales transactions. Some examples of potential GETS Ready customers include city and county governments, public universities, boards of education, and also state agencies that are not considered full-service GETS customers. As a side note, the MTR RFP identifies the specific full-service GETS customers, but we can also provide you with a list on the GETS Ready SharePoint site. We would ask that you not confuse our core GETS customers by marketing GETS Ready to them. If this is likely to cause any confusion or concerns, we'd hope to discuss it with you in a Q&A session. We mentioned before that all qualified service providers under the MTR effort would be eligible for a Gets Ready contract. It's important to note, though, that your company is only eligible for the service component that you actually qualified for. So if your company only qualified for mainframe services, you cannot be eligible for a Gets Ready contract for end-user computing. Also, to be eligible, some of the rules that apply to the fully integrated services contracts will apply in Gets Ready, such as participation in the E-Verify program. These rules will be referenced in the body of the contract. Here are some examples of potential Gets Ready contract awards. These are the same service components that were used in the original RFQC. GTA may award some of these to multiple providers in order to give customers more choices. I mentioned earlier that Gets Ready will not require integration into GTA's operating environment. Your customers will be buying services directly from you, and you will bill them directly. With Gets Ready, there is no link to the MSI platform, so help desk services, for example, would be handled directly by you. In the fully integrated program, GTA provides a consolidated services catalog, but in Gets Ready, we'll ask you to provide a dedicated website showing your eligible service offerings and prices. Your account team or representative should manage customer relationships, and the services would be mostly turnkey. At this point, you might ask, what is GTA's role with Gets Ready? GTA considers itself a broker in this relationship, not a service provider. So GTA will have several roles. We will provide guidance to customers on the proper use of the contracts, and will provide some assistance with procurement navigation if needed. GTA will also work with providers to set and measure business objectives, assure compliance, monitor market trends, and in some cases recommend changes to services based on demand or other business needs. Our intention is to have an ongoing relationship with the providers and the customers in order to assure the value of the program. I'd like to point out some important contract elements you should be aware of. First, customers will place orders directly with the service provider. Second, before customers can order services, they must sign a participation agreement with the provider that GTA will then approve. The participation agreement is simply a short agreement that allows the customer to use the Gets Ready contract, and GTA will provide all qualified service providers a sample of that agreement. Third, service providers will invoice the customer directly and pay an administrative fee to GTA based on the dollar amount of sales under the contract. Finally, vendors will submit quarterly reports to GTA on sales volume, revenue, service type, and customer information. Here's a high-level diagram of the contracting process that may be helpful. The workflow begins with your completion of the Intent to Participate form. After that, a master agreement will be released, and we'll invite some written questions and comments. After that, an MSA signature period will be opened up, and at some point GTA will close the signature period and begin requesting statements of work and pricing from service providers. GTA will review those statements of work for scope and issue a pre-approval signature. Then, service providers have a specified period to fully agree to the terms. GTA plans to keep the master agreement standard across all service components. There are some elements of the contract that may not be negotiable, and we have included those items in the presentation library on the SharePoint site. We also have a staggered schedule of the different service components, which mostly mirrors that of our MTR RFPs, with mainframe occurring first. We have included that schedule for you on SharePoint as well. GTA expects this to be a rather swift process, so please be mindful of any deadlines that we post. Once you've signed a Gets Ready contract with GTA, you can begin selling services to customers. This slide describes the general workflow of the customer ordering and payment process. The customer first visits the GTA procurement webpage. From there, the customer links to your catalog site, where they can view a menu of services. If the customer would like to place an order, they sign a participation agreement with you, which you then submit to GTA for approval. Once there is GTA approval, customers are then authorized to order services. Service providers invoice the customer according to their standard invoicing procedures, and the service provider submits quarterly reports and an administrative fee to GTA. Here's a sample reporting schedule. You can see that the reporting and admin fee payment deadline falls in a 30-day window after the quarter ends. So looking at the chart, you can see that the first quarter, which begins January 1st and ends March 30th, has a report and admin fee payment due at the end of April. So the report submitted in April, for example, would include volume and sales for the months of January, February, and March, and the admin fee payment would represent a percentage of the sales for January, February, and March. What we've covered so far is a general overview of the Gets Ready program. We understand that you will have more questions, and we will have a dedicated Q&A period in the near future for that. First things first, though, you should have received a Gets Ready information package that contains this slide deck, an introductory letter, and an intent to participate form. If you're interested in participating in the Gets Ready effort, please send that completed form back to the procurement mailbox address below by the deadline of May 19th. Your indication of interest does not obligate you in any way, but we will need the form completed if you wish to be included in future announcements. Also, it would help out our procurement team if you could let them know whether your company contact will change for the Gets Ready effort. That way, procurement can add the new contact to their mailing list. A word on communication generally. Those who are already involved in the MTR RFP are already familiar with our communication process, and this effort will be very similar. Once we receive your intent to participate form, GTA Procurement will email your company contact a SharePoint ID. We will use one ID per company. We will not have information sessions, but we will have a dedicated written Q&A period to be followed by a webinar. Most of the information you will receive in the Gets Ready effort will occur via email and through the SharePoint site, so please ensure that you have the Gets Ready Procurement email address in your contact list. More information will be coming to you in the upcoming weeks. That concludes our presentation on the Gets Ready effort. Thank you for taking the time to view this and for reviewing the package we sent to you. We look forward to establishing partnerships with each of you in the future in order to expand the Gets customer base and improve access to technology services around the state. Again, please look to your inbox for more information in the upcoming weeks.